sisters with me.
Happy Friday, happy Friday. It's your girl, Mysterious Jax. You are now tuned into Ladies Night Radio Show here at the Good News Studio. And also here with me are my crazy, fun, and beautiful co-hosts, the ladies.
Hey, hey, y'all. Yes, Myra, yes. What's up, everybody? It's Crazy Maria on the mic. As you know, party don't start till I come in. Yes, I am officially here, bitches.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday. It's your girl, Myra. I hope you guys are ready for this dope-ass show we have going on tonight.
That's right. We're starting off tonight by celebrating Latinx Heritage Month. So I am so excited. It's going to be a good-ass show. We're going to have fun. We're going to have some topics, some facts for you guys. And we're just going to start off celebrating, celebrating being Latinas, women, mujeres, fuertes, chingonas, all of that.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and introduce our special guest of the night, and she actually is part of the Good News family. She has her own show here on the Good News Network. She gives amazing advice. Her show is just so soothing. It's every Wednesday morning at 9 in the morning, and I am just so happy that she's finally here. Everybody, please help me welcome Coach Zena.
Hey,
Welcome, Zena. Yes, Zena. Celebration in here tonight.
That's right. Welcome, Zena. How are you?
I am great. Usually I am on the 110 freeway heading to PV. So this is nice. For it. It's a different pace.
So tell everybody a little bit about your show. People that if they listen to your show, what can they expect?
Absolutely. So it's on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and I am a coach. I'm a career coach, life coach, and spiritual coach. And so I started off doing a lot of career advice, which I have 25 years of human resources experience in recruiting. But I love helping people. I love people trying to live their best life. I want to help them any way I can. So I'm an avid learner, and I have probably about 500 books in my apartment.
Really?
And, yeah. And so I read and learn, and I read, learn, and share. And that's what I do. And so I like to tell people I want to help them live the best life possible, whatever that looks like, if it's a hundredaire, thousandaire, millionaire, whatever it is, because I believe that we have the capacity to do that.
That's
Right?
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, and she's very helpful. She has helped a lot of people here on the Good News with the resumes, with just advice for interviews or anything like that. And I think one of the things that you said is after you interview, I think you even said to go back and or send a letter, like a thank you letter.
Absolutely. So have a thank you card, go to the 99-cent store. I'm frugal all the time. Go to the 99-cent store, get some cards, blank cards, and already have it written out. So as soon as you leave, you just pop it in the mail. There's some amazing tips that people don't realize when recruiters are looking at resumes all day long. It's easier to break up the day. Oh, here's some mail for you. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to see where you are in the candidate process, and I might even give you more consideration or more props for sending me a card, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that stood out to me. I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to do that next time because I'm currently looking for a job at the moment. So when I, after I drop off my resume or if I do a first interview, I'm going to definitely send a thank you card because that's great advice. So I'm telling you guys, she drops so many great gems on her show. We're always listening. Me and Keith are like, did you hear that, what she said? So we're always listening to that. So anyways, thank you to being here, my guest at Ladies Night Radio. We're all excited that you're here. Are you ready to have a good time?
I am ready.
Are you nervous?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I asked her, I was like, what do you want to drink? I can get you a drink because I usually bring drinks for the guests and stuff. And she was like, no, thank you. Why did Crazy Maria, she didn't even ask her. She just said, here, Zena, this is for you.
Yes.
Right? She didn't even ask you. She just said, here, this is for you.
Zena.
Obviously, I'm going to pop this.
Yes.
I thought she was just going to pop it open for me just now.
No, girl.
But
I let you go on here and get ready and pop it open whenever. Yes, salud.
Salud. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. And of course, I got my Myra her vegan cookies because she's kind of not drinking right now.
No, they're so good. You guys want some?
Vegan cookies. I'll probably try one later, but not right now. But I heard that they're really good. I went to Trader Joe's. I was like, do you guys have any vegan snacks here? And they're like, yeah. And then, yeah. So I was like, I got to bring my Myra something because I know she's not drinking. All right. Well, before we start the show, we got to go ahead and start with some cheese man. You guys know that's, you guys ready for some cheese man? Y'all ready?
Yes, girl. Give it to us.
Mira, yo tengo una clase de chisme de otro mundo. No me diga, nena, cuéntame.
So there's a lot going on this week, especially in sports. I got some crazy stories that I got to tell you guys. But before we do, let's go ahead and start off with this first story that just broke today. Antonio Brown has been cut from the Patriots as a result of his being sued for sexual assault and rape. He's officially a free agent. For how long is anyone's guess. So he literally went from like a contract, I don't know, I want to say like 20 something mil to 9 mil to now like for 2019, he's only going to make like 150,000.
It would have been a 30 million.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's just crazy. And a lot of people are just saying a lot of different things on him. I don't really know him personally, but what I've heard is that he's kind of controversial. He's like one of those divas in the industry or in the sports, and so I don't know.
Nike dropped him.
He's losing so much. Like, I mean, I get that's what I'm saying. There's a fine line between confident and being like cocky, and I feel like he thinks that he's untouchable, and people still need to respect themselves, respect the people around there, the players, the coaches, like. Nobody wants like somebody like I don't really know him. I don't know too much about it, so I don't want to say anything. But I'm just if I could give any advice, like be humble, y'all. Yeah. Be humble.
When I saw Nike drop them, I think on Wednesday, I just knew something else was coming because that first with the whole charges, and then he got dropped from Nike. I just knew he was going to go on ahead and get dropped from the team.
I mean, the way he disrespected the Raiders, first of all.
He just throws tantrums.
Yeah, and how happy he was, even on social media when they released him. It's just like, why would you want somebody? I mean, he's a good player, but why would you want someone who just, he's careless?
Yeah, definitely.
That's unfortunate.
That's what he gets.
All right, well, moving on into some baseball cheese, man. I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but Felipe Vasquez is an Major League Baseball player, an all-star pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and has been arrested for child sex crimes taking place in Pennsylvania and Florida. The charges, well, it's computer pornography, sexual assault on a child, and providing obscene material to a minor. He's currently in jail being held without bond. If convicted, he can potentially be deported back to Venezuela. So a little bit more information on this. This started off at, I want to say, at a Pittsburgh game, and I think the girl that is involved in this was 13 when she met him near the bullpen, and it's like a fan, like, hey, I'm a fan, whatever. And then she later on slid into his DMs through, I think, Instagram. And was like, hey, I met you today. And then from that started like a conversation through Instagram, which started a relationship as far as like them sending text messages. And at the time, I want to say he was maybe 24 and she was 13. And now at the moment she's, I think, 15 or 16 and he's 24 or 26. So pretty much he's admitted that he had a relationship with this young girl, and he even drove like an hour to see her. He would, so they were having a relationship. The girl was all for it. She was excited. She wanted to see him. Like that was her boo in her head. And he admitted that they did have a relation, and that apparently he's like, we didn't really have sex. Because you want to know why? This was his reason. Because his penis did not fit into her vagina. So potentially in his head, they really didn't have sex.
He said that?
Yes. So he's not from the U.S. He is from Venezuela. And so he pretty much, and so the girl, like, so I was having this discussion with a person. I don't want to put them out there, and the person is in their 20s and is a female. And me and her were having a debate kind of saying like, she was arguing that the girl, she knew what she was doing. I said, I don't care if she was excited. You know, it could be Chris Brown, and you know, a lot of girls that are like 12, 13 want to hook up with him. But you being the adult, you should know better. And it's like, because she was kind of like defending him, kind of like it's her fault, like, you know, she should have known better, she's 13, you know, you know what you're doing at that age, you know what you're doing. So, and I was like, it doesn't matter, he is in his 20s, I don't care if he's 21, you know, like he should have known better not to be hooking up with a 13-year-old. And so some people are like, you know, back in his country it's probably like legal and this and that, but I'm just like, whatever it is, you should know. Like, so he was like a $20 million contract player. Like, you can have models, you can have actresses, you're a freaking in the MLB, you can have anybody, and you're over here getting this 13-year-old girl, you know, driving an hour to see her. So finally the mom is the one that reached out to him like, hey, she's a minor, like you need to let her be. And finally I think at the age of 15 is when they're like deciding to like do all this.
They probably didn't even know who he was until
they met at the stadium at the bullpen as a fan.
The mom.
She's talking about the parents.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know the details. I don't want to say too much about that, but that's what I so far was having conversations with people. So yeah, this girl that I was having a discussion with, she was trying to blame her. I was like, sorry. I know girls might be having sex at an earlier age, but as the adult, you should know better. And I was like, he knew better.
Especially in the position that he's in. Even though he's from Venezuela and maybe they don't, you know, have boundaries out there, you're in America.
Yeah.
And you're someone famous. You're you know, a professional player, so you should know better.
Yep.
I mean, I think that like all the professionals around him, I mean, obviously he's going to have financial advisors and all that, but someone should have been like checking him like at his age.
That's the thing. I don't know if somebody probably tried to check him, because I was reading up on this, and last week he got into it with one of his
advisors or coaches?
No, like one of the other players.
Oh.
Hicks, he got into it with him, and Hicks ended up getting hurt over it. So I don't know if it could have been something that he knew or made a statement to him, and it just threw him off, or maybe he's already on edge because he knows that all this is coming after him. But to the defense, so the person that you spoke to, yes, it might be something that they do over there in Mexico, because in Mexico they do get married at a young age. Venezuela, wherever it is, it is something that's known to happen over there. But hell, it doesn't matter. When it's wrong, it's wrong.
No, you're
and
right.
I have a 14-year-old. Let me tell you, at the age of 13, 14, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You think you have like you know what you're doing. You think like, oh, I have a crush.
And she may, you know, there are some 13, 14-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls who are out here really just more advanced and fast, and, you know, just throwing themselves at adults. And maybe he was 23 or something. So he was probably, you know, mentally in the same space as her probably. Sure. And since girls are, maybe she's pushing herself on him, or mentally, oh, she's so mature, that kind of thing. But still, you can't let your desire and your infatuation think, you know, or help make you, you know, go that far.
And, you know, these young girls don't know better. Like, they just see a star and they get starstruck, and they think that's the thing. But he's 25, so yes, blame him. It's his fault. Yep. You know what I mean? I'm going to put it on him. I'm not going to put it on 13-year-old, because at 13, you really don't know what you're doing.
Right, exactly. Well, moving forward, we're going to go ahead and start talking about Miss J-Lo. That's right. You guys remember that green dress that J-Lo wore during the MTV Music Awards back in the day? Well, the one with the really long V-neck and super long slit in the middle, she killed it and shocked us all. Of course, as she turned 50 with the killer body, she slipped into the dress again to stun the world during the Versace 2020 fashion show, where she was the guest of honor. She looked amazing, maybe better than she did when she first wore that dress. Wow. We can't get enough of Miss J-Lo. Did you guys see that?
She looked really good.
Yes.
She was strutting that strut way.
She has not aged at all.
What? I mean, she's getting better or something.
Her body looks amazing.
She's getting work done.
I think she's just taking care of herself. She has people helping her take care of her skin, her body, her trainer, the food that she eats, and all of it.
obviously when you have money, you are have access to a lot of different things that we wouldn't normally have access to, and probably her health regimen would include some, little freezing of some stuff here and there. I mean, that's just what they do. They have the ability to have 4 hours of massages and facials and all of that stuff. So I think that she does eat healthy, but I also think that, I mean, because I've seen her like with her leg completely out, there is no cellulite whatsoever. At 50, I'm 53. You got to have some. And she has 2 kids. So, yeah, she has access to some people that are working her out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she definitely puts in the work, but she has more resources than we do. So, I put in work, but I don't have, I still got stretch marks from these kids.
Well, shout out to J-Lo. Well, that pretty much wraps up tonight's Cheesemate. But yeah, if you guys can. Oh, really quick, I forgot to say, KB's in the chat box. He actually said the reason that he got cut was because he sent a threatening text message to one of his accusers. Yeah, I can't say that, KB, but he said he's a
fuck nigga.
Well, I can't say it. I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
She get a pass for that because he is.
So Liz is also in here. She said it was her 20-year anniversary for that dress, and she doesn't drink alcohol. And I saw that interview with Oprah, and Oprah asked her what was one of her things that she feels helps her look youthful, and it was she does not drink alcohol.
Yep.
So
dang.
Good for
J-Lo.
I mean, I'm sure she drinks her little glasses of champagne here and there, but yeah, I don't think
maybe wine, but
for the most part she
pounds.
Yeah. Ladies' night radio pounds.
Chisme de otro mundo. No me diga, nena, cuéntame.
Hey. So that go ahead leads into our next segment, which is one of my favorites. Are y'all ready?
Hey.
It's game time.
Game time.
That's right. It's game time, baby. Woo!
Lord Jesus.
I love game time. If you lose, you gotta take a shot. That's it.
Shout out to the Good News Showcase, dude.
Oh my God!
If you have fucking seen my video, I do know how to do that. What was that dance again, Jackie? The jock.
Young jock.
I do know how to do the young jock, but I was just too bored standing there doing the young jock. So I was a little bit of everywhere of a hot mess. So
you
guys know
that's a good clip of you they put there.
I did. It makes me cringe. But it's
just
all
remember,
good.
Whatever you do, just be prepared for it to be public. So
no, I don't mind.
You gotta live with it. We only live once.
At all. I am me, and I am who I am.
Yeah,
so that's
it looks so much fun. I wish I could have made it.
Man, we missed you. Gave you a huge shout out when we introduced Ladies Night. By the way,
we did. We gave you a shout out. Oh my God, that was so fun. What was your favorite thing of the showcase, Ina?
Oh my gosh, I just had so many. So I love the dancing. I love the interaction with the audience. The scavenger hunt.
Yes.
People like they were like
in their person.
Nobody had a condom though.
Nobody had a condom in the whole theater.
That means that everybody's hitting it raw. That's what that means.
Or maybe
everybody wants the feeling. Look, Zena, give me a high five. No, everybody wants the feeling.
No, she's not.
Maybe all of our guests are civilized, decent people that aren't expecting to have sex with someone.
Oh, you're so nice, Myra.
So maybe they're like, we're not expecting to sleep with anybody. So.
Oh my God.
Myra, or maybe they're all in relationships.
Stay prepared.
You gotta stay ready. You gotta get ready.
Not ready, but prepared.
Yes.
Oh my God. It was really, really, really fun. I think, like I was telling you guys earlier before the show, is just I love the fact that it brought everybody from the Good News Network together. We got to work together. We got to just have fun together. get to know each other.
Yeah.
And because I know that at least me and Keith and the admin team, we know everybody from the shows, but it was so nice to see all of you guys talking to each other, helping each other out, motivating each other. Like some of you guys were nervous and other of you were, helping them, consoling them, like, it's gonna be okay, we got this. And just having a good time. I saw everybody laughing, taking pictures backstage. It literally warmed my heart to see everybody just smiling and having a good time. That was like my favorite part. But it was good to share all the stage with all of you and to show you guys off to everybody.
Yes.
So I can't wait for the next one because everybody keeps asking us when the next one is. So the next event for the Good News actually is the Good News game night, which is going to be in October. So I'm hoping that we bring the telephone charade game and even scavenger hunt.
That was crazy.
Yeah, nobody won telephone charades. Nobody.
That whole burrito thing.
The burrito went. Were you in a line?
Thing.
No, I was watching it.
Having a baby.
Oh, I
know.
Did you see the guys really trying? Some were like, no,
Eric
this is too much.
Eric did a great job.
I was just gonna say, shout out to Eric. He dropped himself on the floor, opened his legs wide open, and was like, how much more do you want me to give?
Know.
And then
Nobody else did it.
TJ turns around, looks at him. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And he turns around and just does this and puts his hands up and down. I was like, TJ, that's not what Eric did. Oh my God, they had me laughing. It was such a good time. And then the audience loved it. They got free shirts, free hats. They were loving it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the next one. All right, well, let's go ahead and play our games here on Ladies Night. So tonight we're playing 5 seconds. If you don't know how to play, this is how you do it. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to name 3 things, Zena. So it can be anything. Like I can say, what's, 3 foods that start with the letter B. And you just have to think of something like broccoli, beans, and burritos. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's going to be...
Are you surprised you came up with those 3 that fast?
Yeah.
I was too. I'm like, shoot. I was thinking of 3.
And I don't even have that question on here. Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready?
No, but okay. Who's first, Zena?
What?
Our guest of honor.
No.
Zena said what?
I've been up since 5, but I'll do whatever I can.
All right. Let's go. And everybody will just go
too.
once.
Okay.
Everybody will just go once. Here we go. Okay. All right. The first one is going to be Zena. Well, you have 5 seconds. I have the timer here to name 3 things. And I'm going to tell you right now. Ready?
5 seconds. Oh my
5
gosh.
seconds. You have 5 seconds to name 3 Good News shows. Go.
Never Not Extra. Brunch with Beasties, Ladies Night.
Almost. Brunch with besties. You said beasties. Sorry. You were nervous. It happens. Okay. Yay. Good job, though. Their shirts were so cute.
I know.
They're sweet ladies. Okay. So Myra, you're gonna be next. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Name 3 things that you can do with a baseball bat. Go.
Chase little girls, hit a ball, and hit somebody.
Chase little girls.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
Says what is your daughter in?
Not a Girl Scout?
Says the Girl Scout mom.
Yeah, but I got a 7th grade son, man. I'm going to be chasing these little girls with a bat.
Look at her. She already getting ready.
Yes. If y'all listening, I got a bat.
Ooh, I'm scared of you. All right, Maria, you ready?
No, but okay.
Here we go. Name 5 seconds to name 3 Latino singers. Go.
Ramona Ayala, Vicente Fernández, y Antonio Aguilar.
Good job, Maria.
I should have caught that on video.
El grito de independencia.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God, you guys are funny. Okay, well that pretty much wraps up game time. It's a quick one today. Quick one.
I'm so happy I wasn't on the loser streak, Zena.
What do you mean?
Wait, Zena lost, did she?
I did.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Dang, you gotta rub it in.
No. I'm cool.
She gotta rub it in. That's
I
messed up. She's
can-
our guest, Maria.
Hey, that's
Zena
okay.
is family.
That's okay.
You can play with family. Red Squad.
Zena was a black
I
squad.
know, that's what I'm saying.
Ooh,
It's getting hot in here.
It's game time.
Hey.
All right, so that pretty much. Rose, you are so mean. Can you be nice to our guests?
I am. Yes, salud.
She's still in competitive mode. All right, so that leads us to our next segment of the night. You ready, Myra? You ready?
Yes.
All right, so our next segment of the night is our question of the night. All right, Myra, what is the question of the night?
Okay, tonight's question is pretty simple, but here it is. Would you go a year with no sex or a year with no cell phone?
Oh, my God.
Maria, why are you looking at me like that?
Because I'm already thinking I'm almost there. So shit, I might as well say no sex.
She already knew you were going to say that. That's why she played that song for you.
I know. Shit. Girls
But
and
the question is, would you rather?
I don't know. I need my cell phone for, emergencies, my kids.
You would have a house phone.
And this is no
my
sex.
kids.
Or a pager. How about that? I'll give you a pager, a two-way, or a house phone.
No sex.
Payphone. I'll even give you a payphone.
Means any kind of sex, not just,
Not
with
even in the restroom.
No. No sex.
Like no oral
Shower.
sex, no
toys.
no
just
toys,
No sex.
no masturbation, no self-pleasure.
That's a good one, Myra. This is the best one you brought yet.
Oh my
Lord
God.
have
I don't know
mercy.
about
Thank you. I've had some good ones. The last couple of weeks have been kind of, but probably just.
Oh my God. All right, Marie, you got to give us your answer, girl. Give us your answer. What is your answer?
It depends on what season I'm in. If I'm trying to, rejuvenate, get myself back, affirmations,
What?
Shit. Okay, no cell phone. Fuck it. I need that skin to skin, that love, that affection. Hey!
All right, Zena, what's your answer?
It's easy.
She said drop the cell phone.
She said, cancel my plan, AT&T. I'm done, son. I'm in my job.
You need your cell phone for a lot, especially with what you do, right?
Right. No cell phone.
Yeah. But you know
I almost choked.
You know what? My answer.
that really
my
fast.
answer is gonna be no cell phone.
Yes.
My answer is gonna be no cell phone
Yeah.
because if anything, sex is good for you. These cell phones really don't do too much for you. If anything, they're bad for you.
That's what I was saying.
Yes. If anything,
Yes.
take this demon away from me.
You sound like a politician right now, girl. Politician.
Jesus, give me the Jesus song.
Jesus. Yeah.
Long as I got King Jesus. Long as I got King Jesus. Long as I got him, don't need nobody else.
That's true, though.
Oh my God. Myra gives some great points. This cell phone is horrible for you. And, sex it's like cardio. You're burning calories. It's good for you. It's, it
Makes you happy.
Makes you happy.
You live longer. I don't even know, but you might.
All of it. So buy cell phones. Give me a pager. I'm good. Hey, what's okay? 911.
Yes, 911. What is it? I love you.
I love you.
What
Hello.
Yeah, no phone and a cell phone is like a lose-lose. It's like depression and anger because you're not getting none. And then this phone doesn't do any better. You're looking at stuff that makes you depressed and angry there. So you just, double whammy, depressed and...
I love it.
He's not ringing
and
not
alone.
calling you back.
Buy cell phones.
Bye.
Later.
You're busy.
Yeah.
You're busy.
I want to hear from you guys, our listeners. What would you give up? Would you give up sex or would you give up your cell phone for a year? Let us know. I want to know. KB, I see you in there. What are you giving up?
A little sour.
Liz, what are you giving up? Your cell phone or sex? Let us know.
KB says the black team should have won. He said that we robbed him.
He said that I cheated on the rock, paper, scissors. How do you cheat that, first of all? I won that fair and square.
He's saying bouncing basketball and having a baby.
Oh, he said, because he said their team said bouncing the ball, but it was actually dribbling the ball, and that's why they didn't win.
I thought they said titties.
Bouncing the titties?
No, that's what they said, titties.
I think we gave them 2 chances though.
See, you get 2 chances and you still didn't get it. Don't hit me, Zena. I know you're on the black tea. Zena over here, give me the eyeball. Yes.
It's hot in here. All right. Well, that wraps up question of the night. And we're going to go ahead and jump into tonight's topic. We have some great topics tonight. We are talking about the Latinx/Hispanic Heritage Month, celebrating it. We're also talking about growing up mixed. We have Zena here, who is mixed, and we have Maria and Myra, who are raising mixed children. So we're going to get into that. And we're also talking about how to ask for a raise. Pretty much, listeners sent in a question, so we're going to go ahead and answer that. And with Zena being here and her expertise, we're going to be able to give you some great advice for that. So make sure you guys listen in for all the topics. But before we do, we're going to go ahead and start off with the first topic of the night. It is Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month, or actually months, because it starts September 15th and ends in October 15th. So what and why do we celebrate Latino Heritage Month? Well, it's basically when the people of the U.S. recognize the contributions of Hispanics and Latinos here in the United States, while also celebrating our culture and our history. And being one of the Latinas on the Good News, as well as my co-hosts here and my guest. And shout out to all the Latinos of the Good News Network. I believe it's we got Liz, we got Mari, we got Pete. And I think that's it, right? Am I missing anybody? Shout out to all the Latinos on the Good News Network, holding it down, representing. Hey. So I felt like we had to, being the show with the most Latinos on it, we had to go ahead and celebrate it and shout them out. And we're going to be talking about it all month. So just be ready for it. But I do have some questions for you guys, just to kind of give an idea of what it is to be Latino and stuff. So pretty much, September was chosen in honor of Mexico Independence Day, which is September 16th, the day after Myra's birthday. Yeah. Latinos have had a heavy influence on culture, food, politics, etc. This is how we celebrate their contribution to our society. So I just kind of want to give people obviously the Good News Network is open to everybody, but it's majority Black and African American, and us being the minority of the network, we have to give a voice for it. So, I wanted to kind of share and give some insight on how it was growing up to be Latino, you know what I mean? So I kind of put together some questions, and just to kind of for them to get to know us and see how it is. So I want all of us to answer it. So the first one I kind of put together is there an embarrassing memory you had as a child about your heritage? So growing up, obviously, everybody has some embarrassing things that their parents do or their family members. Can you think of anything that's embarrassing that you can remember as a child about your heritage?
Oh my God, yes. Okay, first of all, I want to say that Keith is in here. He says he's 3% Latino, so show him some fucking respect. Damn it.
My bad, Keith. Shout out to Keith Good News, who is, what did he say? How much? 3% Latino. Sorry, mi hermano. I'm sorry.
Liz is throwing you the high fives. She said, hey.
Hey, that's right. She is Mexican American. Shout out to Liz.
Shout out to Diane, who I met in the laundromat today.
She's in the chat box?
Yeah, she's up in here.
Crazy Maria.
She says she will give up her cell phone for some sex.
Hey, I think we all agree on that.
And Keith said that there's been life without phones, so there's never been life without sex. So you already know what route. We already know what route Keith is going. He says it all the time.
This is true.
Yes.
This is true.
And KB, he said he'll just go to the library and check his email. So
yeah, I'm saying we got payphones, we got pagers, we got two ways. It don't matter. We don't need this damn cell phone. We got computers. What do you need?
Wait, KB said I'm way more Mexican than Pete.
Oh!
I can decipher the Condex Mendoza. That's at least 15%.
All right. Shout out to all the Latinos on the Good News Network. All your 3%, 2%. We're going to accept it. All of you. 15%, a quarter, whatever.
You didn't hit it. We understand.
Shout
out to y'all.
You were in some Latinas. You were in some Latinas.
Sorry, Zena.
You know what?
Hey, she's on Ladies' Night. She knows what's going on.
It had to be said.
Somebody was going to say it in the chat box.
Because you know.
I know y'all.
Yes. All right.
Latinos.
So One embarrassing moment for me was, when you come from a family of 8, we do a lot of hand-me-downs. And and also coming from 2 parents that were building their empire, we had to do a lot of swap meet shopping.
Yes.
So I remember going to the Paramount swap meet and not having nowhere to try on no damn bras. So my mom would actually make me try the bra on or put it up while we're like standing in the middle aisle. The swap meet, we wouldn't be in the actual, little location that would be set up, the pop-up little area, but we would be in the aisle and she'd just be like, try this one on. She'd just be like putting them on me and I'll just be standing there at 13 looking awkward. And these people would just be passing by like,
oh no,
just staring. So yeah, that's my embarrassing moment.
That's funny. I always tell people, because I'm the 5th child of 8, so just imagine all the people older than me, and I got the hand-me-down too. I was telling people I was wearing 80s clothes in the 90s. Like, that was the hand-me-down that I was wearing. Some bright shorts,
You were always on the throwback.
I was always on the, it was always Throwback Thursday.
80s and 90s are the best eras though.
Yeah. Yes, but not when you're like the next era. Like, it's the 90s. You're supposed to be wearing 90s clothes, not 80s in the 90s. Like, that's not a good look. I mean, if I wear that now, it's going retro.
Yeah.
But yeah, not when you're in the 90s. What about you, Myra? Can you think of anything that is kind of embarrassing?
God, so many things, but it wasn't really because of my heritage. But one thing that my mom used to always do to my hair up until I got old enough to like tell her not to do it anymore, and I had to start doing my hair at a really young age because of that. She would put my hair in a ponytail, kind of like how yours is, Maria. And she would take these 2 little baby hairs right here and freaking curl them.
Yes.
She'll curl them with a freaking curling. Well, my hair when I was younger was curly. And, here's another one. Since we're talking about hair, my dad shaved my hair off when I was 5 years old.
What?
I went into preschool. Nope. I was in kindergarten going into 1st grade, and I had like a little boy haircut, and it was barely growing in, and they'll just put like a little Mexican little bowl thingy on here. He cut my hair not because I had
tomato on your head,
not because I had lice, because a lot of Mexican kids their parents cut their hair because they have lice. But my dad cut my hair because it was curly, but it was really thin, and he was like, "Oh, I want her curls to grow back thicker," and my curls never grew back. My hair just got wavy after that. My curls never grew back. Yeah, wow. So that was really embarrassing. Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
not as embarrassing as my eyebrows, but okay.
You want to tell them that?
Nah, we say embarrassing moments that our parents did, not that we did.
Yeah.
Plus,
it says about your
story.
I had an eyebrow situation too.
It said about your heritage, not about your parents.
Oh, okay.
About your heritage.
That's not heritage.
What about you, Zena? So tell the listeners you're mixed. What are you mixed with?
So I am half Hispanic and French Creole and Black. So on the Hispanic side, I think probably the most embarrassing thing was we collected cans. Like we had money. I mean, not wealthy or middle class or anything. We had a good life. I mean, we had food on the table all the time, but we would get out there and collect cans early Saturday and Sunday morning. And it was like the kids on the block, they would like tease us, but we didn't want anything.
Right.
We didn't have, my grandfather would give me the money and I would buy something or do whatever. But yeah, it was embarrassing, like dumpster diving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
And now, now that's something to be proud of because you're recycling and taking care of the environment.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. We still do it. I know that
We
Maria showed it to our nieces or her daughters to do that too. And it's also for them to show a way to earn your money. Like you collect it, and it's what they take it to the place and then they give you money for it.
Yeah.
So
but more now, so it's more for the environment. You know, Jelly, she's really big on the turtles. I don't know what this whole turtle thing is.
With the straws.
Yeah, so she's like really big on recycling and taking care, which is something that's going to benefit them because I'm sure that, when global warming really does get out of hand, we are going to be on our way out. Yeah. So it's mostly for them and their kids.
Yeah. I grew up I can be humbled by the way I grew up because another thing that we used to do, and it is a heritage. I never saw anybody other than Mexican people do this. And also it was because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We were pretty, low income when I was a kid. And we lived in a 2-bedroom duplex. But every Sunday, my mom would, she used to do this all the time. She would, not every Sunday, but she used to take the carts from the grocery store. Okay, she's probably the reason why they got locks on them now. She used to take it, and we had a grocery store that was 5 minutes away, so she would bring one home, and we would have it in the back. And we didn't have laundry in our townhome. There was no laundry hookup there, so she would put all the laundry in a basket, and we would walk to the laundromat. And my little sister was like 2 years old, and me and my other sister would be walking besides her, just holding it. At that point, I didn't care. I mean, I was like, okay, it's normal. This is what we do. But now I look back on it, I'm like, man, all our neighbors used to look at us, and we just used to walk to the laundromat with our laundry in the laundromat in the basket.
Yeah.
Or in the cart. And then, but, I mean, that's the type of stuff I'm proud of now.
Yeah.
That, because you grew up that way, so it makes you who you are.
It's
but
funny.
Word.
I think
funny.
speaking Spanish in front of my friends, because we moved from Hawthorne, like Latinx area at the age I was 5, and we went, and so I started kindergarten. But yeah, I was embarrassed. I guess I had in the community we lived in, it was like predominantly white, and they signed me up for softball in the little league in the area. It was mostly Asian white, and I don't know, for some reason as a kid you didn't understand that, and then they put you in different classes at school. You're in like the ESL classes.
Oh yeah.
So that was a little embarrassing, I guess.
I think that was shady. That was shady because I learned English and we spoke English fluently and we knew how to read English, and they still put us in ESL classes.
Yeah.
Well, so working from a school, that just comes based on what your parents put on the application when they're signing you up for school. So if
that's a charter school.
No, any school.
No,
if they put that your first language was Spanish, then you automatically go into those ESL
I was put in
classes.
a regular class when I first started kindergarten, and then I remember the teacher, and then I got switched over into the ESL class.
See, I started in ESL. I got taken out of ESL in first grade and put into regular English.
So you tested out and you tested in.
No.
Yes, they heard you talk. And
wow.
They saw your you write, and they said she needs that extra. No, I'm not being funny. I know it sounds funny,
Shade.
but I'm being honest. So,
I'm gonna blame it on y'all because y'all raised me.
No, it's the truth.
Y'all raised me.
Spanglish.
You raised me.
That's what first generation. When you have Spanish in the household,
yes,
it happens.
And I have siblings
that's
Spanglish. Yes.
So
that to me was like the embarrassing
There's
part.
nothing wrong with that.
But now I like it as an adult.
out.
Like I love it, And I was just telling Myra the other day, I was like, that's kind of one of my things that I don't like that people.
It's a trigger.
It's a trigger for me because now my Spanish, I lost it because of you're so embarrassed of it growing up. You almost like want to get rid of it, and so now like. When I try to speak Spanish, I have an accent. And so what most people call pocha. And it's kind of like making fun of you in a way. Mm-hmm. So I remember I had family members that would be like, oh, you're pocha. And they would make fun of me, kind of saying like, your Spanish sucks in a way. And so that's kind of like a trigger to me. So when people like make fun of the way that I speak Spanish, it kind of like hurts my feelings. Mm. And so, but now it's like, cause it's like, an identity thing growing up. It's like you're younger. It's like no English. You have to speak English. And then as you're getting older, you're realizing I can get paid more to be bilingual.
Absolutely.
And it's a gift. It's amazing to know more than one language. If anything, I want to know more. I want to know like 3 to 4 languages.
Sure.
But when you're little, it's like it's embarrassing. So that I can remember that being a thing.
When I was like a teenager before I became an adult, I used to be embarrassed to speak Spanish. I didn't even want to tell people I knew how to speak Spanish. I was just like, and then I started like realizing more, and I, being more comfortable with my identity, and I was like, what the hell? Why am I not speaking Spanish? And then I'm completely proud of it,
Right.
like I need to be proud of this, and so now I'm like, no, I'll speak Spanish wherever I go.
Wherever.
Yeah.
And it actually connects you to strangers.
Yeah.
Especially like when I'm talking to like people, and for my job, I have to talk to a lot of strangers. So when I see people that are Latino, I start talking to them in Spanish, and I'll be like, hola, ¿cómo está? And they like right away stop and start talking to me and stuff. So I think it connects us. Literally knowing that second language connects you so much, and it gets you hookups. You would be surprised.
Wow.
All the places it gets you hooked up.
I need to learn how to speak Spanish.
Yes, people will take care of you. You go to restaurants, you go to events. I've been to like concerts and stuff or things, and people like just the other day I went to the Dodger Stadium, and I started talking to the bartender who was making my drink because we didn't get one of the bobbleheads because we got there and our gate was sold out, and the guy he's Latino, and I was like, I started talking to him in Spanish. I was like, where can I get this bobblehead? He's like, go to guest services, they'll take care of you. And sure enough, I went and I ended up getting a bobblehead, and that rarely happens at Dodger Stadium. But it's just the fact that I was speaking to him in Spanish. He's like, oh, okay, I get it, I got you fam, you take care of your people.
So my grandparents didn't want my brother and I to have an accent, so they didn't speak Spanish to us. And my grandfather didn't speak any English, so I could understand it. And he taught me how to read Spanish. And then on my mother's side, we didn't learn how to speak Creole either, because it was like something that they would speak in the kitchen. So when I got like 14, 15, my grandparents like, you need to learn how to speak Spanish. I'm like, I'm American. Excuse me, I'm American. So I regret that. I really regret that I don't speak it. I can, if I'm around the environment for more than 24 hours, I can have more of a conversation, but it's Spanglish. Right. Totally Spanglish, but yeah.
Right. But that was literally when you were growing up. It was like push, speak English.
Exactly.
So of course we're gonna lose our accent.
And it almost made you kind of like, we don't want you speaking that in here, or don't speak. So it almost made you shame, like kind of like, okay, I don't need to speak it. So
right. So I mean, but now I'm glad that we're teaching more of the youth, our kids, our nieces to embrace it, to speak it. I encourage my goddaughter, my nieces, her daughters, speak. You know 2 languages. You know how amazing that is. And now my friend Kosi, which is our producer here, she's a hard of hearing, she's deaf. She taught them sign language, so now they know 3 languages.
That's amazing.
They know English, Spanish, and sign language. Right. So
and French too, because a lot of the Africans and a lot of people who come over from other countries, French is their native language. So if you were to speak 3 languages, French, Spanish, and English, and then sign language, that's the best thing for you.
Right. Yeah. So I encourage you guys, if you can, learn more languages, because your resume will grow, right? And you'll get paid more. Yeah. Woo woo. All right. So the next question is there anything about your heritage that you've always wanted to learn more about? So we'll start with Myra this time. So kind of talking about what we've been talking, is there something that you'd want to learn more about your culture, your heritage?
You're
always telling me dancing.
Yes, I do. I do want to learn how to dance more.
Yeah, like you were saying, salsa, merengue,
bachata, all of that. Like just all Latin dancing.
Yeah.
I want to learn that. More about our history, get more in depth in it, because we know the basics, but I think I'm not a historian, and I don't, I read a lot, but I haven't gotten into our history as much as I think we should, especially because, once we start digging, we start finding out more things, and we may even identify better after we learn more. So that would be something that I would want to do.
And then we'll also notice how we're more like, I just saw an interview with Fat Joe, how he was saying, that Latinos and blacks, like, we're more similar than
Absolutely.
and that, like, a lot of it is like we're connected more than you even understand. So yeah, I think Eric posted something like that, but he was saying more like, we're all black. I didn't want to say that because I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I think that it does have some truth to it. Just it doesn't go for everybody. So like some people come from indigenous and like Spaniards and stuff. It gets really deep. And like Myra says, I want to learn more about it so I can talk about it.
Especially because my last name derives from Spain.
Right.
And also it has roots to it's Arabic as well. So that there's so much I want to know.
Have you thought about doing the 20?
Yeah, the 23andMe. I bought it, and then I got home from work, and Nadia had her spit in it. And
Nadia's her daughter.
Yeah, my daughter. She's 7. She was like 6 at the time, and she had her little spit in it. And then I'm like, "Where's the rest of it?" And she's like, "I don't know, Mom. I don't know." And so I was so mad at her because she was lying to me. She knew where it was. And then finally, the next day, she admits, and it was behind my bed, but. I'll do it. I am going to do it eventually. I was planning on doing it. I would have already known, but I had to hold off. I could have sent Nadia's in, but no.
What about you, Zena? Is there anything about your heritage that you've always wanted to learn more about?
I would say probably the history of like the cooking, the dishes.
Ooh.
And like, what those dishes mean and why they were created. Like I know that for like the Creole side and why gumbo was created, but I don't know.
Why was it created, if you could tell us?
So gumbo was actually a slave food. So you think about all the different meats and seafood, they actually took the scraps that they were given and they put it into this soup, and they made the soup really a lot of broth, and they chopped up the vegetables. So it was actually a poor man's food.
It almost sounds like menudo if you think about it, Maria.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Menudo,
Yep,
because that's
'cause
all
that's
of the
stomach
scraps
lining.
and the stomach lining of it.
Right, but gumbo is seafood.
No. Gumbo has all different meats. If you really want to cook
sausage.
Creole gumbo, it's like chicken, sausage, boudin, which is a blood sausage, stew meat, ham, seafood.
So where does the seafood? Where's the seafood come
So
in?
the
Seafood is expensive.
Yeah. No, not the scraps. So you have to understand, it was in Louisiana, so it was on the, you have the coast right there, so they could get the seafood really, really cheap. And they might have had one shrimp. They didn't have crab. They might have had one shrimp. And so that's why they mixed this with all these different meats, and they were scraps of these meats, and so they chopped up. So now it's really expensive, but it wasn't. It was a poor man's food.
Yeah,
It was a slave food. It was a slave food. It really was.
I didn't know that.
So shout out to our listeners who are in the chat box. We see you guys. Paisa Lives Matters in there. He says having dinner dates.
Oh, that's because I asked him where has he been, and so he said having dinner dates.
Oh, okay.
But he did say something about the trimming of Myra's hair. He said he knows about getting your hair cut off, but at 5, what did he say?
He did that to his son. He shaved his son's head.
I know, but what did he say at 5 though?
It was
At
for
5,
the same
it was
reason,
what?
so his hair can come in thicker.
That's what we do, right? But normally I know that you're supposed to rub a hot tomato on the head, and that's supposed to thicken the follicles and make the hair come out thicker.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
Yeah.
I wish he would have done that because I want my hair.
Right.
Oh, that's the purpose of it. But yeah,
Y'all
go ahead,
still
Jackie.
cute.
KB says that my mom did the same shit. No shame.
As the
the
cart.
laundry?
The
Oh.
cart. Mm-hmm.
Liz says, when we
the 85.
traveled to Paris, I used my Spanish. Hey, okay. I was my abuela's translator. And then Javi says, si se puede. Liz says, go see Latin History for Morons. It was incredible and so informative for the Hispanic/Latinx culture. Taco Chronicles on Netflix is awesome for Hispanic food culture. So if you want.
Oh, yeah, I started watching that.
Yeah, really good.
So yeah, I gotta check them out. There's a lot of shows on there that it's like, yeah, I saw that one. So the next one, I know we have to move in. I just have to cut some of these. Okay, here's a fun one. What's one tool your mom used to discipline you with you as a child? As a whooping. So obviously the belt.
Anything she found
is for sure one in our house. Anything.
And
she
I hate
found.
it when she found the fucking phone cord.
Oh
That
my
shit
God.
works out.
Any cord. She would find it and she would help.
Yeah.
We would have the
Anything
markings.
she found.
What about you, Myra?
My mom never whooped us.
What?
Yeah, nah. But we got our ass whooped. And probably not what we got our ass beat. My
By who?
dad.
Oh, by your
used to-
dad?
Yeah, he was the one that disciplined us. It was like a freaking boot camp in his house. But most of the time, it was the belt.
What about you, Zena?
So I guess my mom used the belt. I did get spankings. I did.
Yeah.
I did get beatings. I got beat.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. When you first asked the question, I was thinking about the wooden spoon. You know, like that wooden spoon.
Yes.
You know. I don't know if I was ever hit with it though.
If
but-
you're in the chat box, let us know what you got whooped with and that like stood out to you guys. I think everybody has used a belt, but some people like la chancla.
yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
like
I
that.
think since we got whooped by my dad the most, it was the belt. He didn't have a chancla or his hand, or just
My dad
his
would kick
looks.
us and all of it.
Wow.
So another one is, here's another one. What's one moment in your life where you felt the most orgullosa to be Latina? So think of a moment, the time that you felt the most proud, the most just, proud moment for you to be a Latina woman or Latino in general, Latinx. What's that one moment that kind of sticks out to you that you felt so proud?
I don't think I have a specific moment that stands out for me. Honestly, I think when I became more self-aware and when I decided to give myself my full undivided love, and I realized who I was as a woman. Sometimes we go through these things where we don't really know ourselves, and it takes growth to get there.
Yeah.
So, and I think part of that was just me knowing, like, hey, this is who I am, and this is who I'm truly proud to be, and I never would want to be anybody else. Yeah. Sometimes people, when they look at me, they're like, hey, what are you mixed with, or what are you, or what's your, like, I'm Mexican. Well, I'm from here, but my parents are Mexican.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I remember I used to say, well, I don't know, my parents are here, and then, but we might be from here, but now I'm like, no, I mean, I don't know anything else other than we're Mexican, or my parents are from Mexico, and I'm Mexican, so just proud of who I am.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Zena?
So I'm a late bloomer, being biracial, but I listen to you, Myra, and I mean that's just so awesome that you came to that awareness at such a young age. I think when I was in my late 40s, so I'm 53.
Hey,
so,
you do not look at you. Do not.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Yes,
she said that like
Zena.
nothing.
And you're supposed to, right?
No,
Give me a high
right.
five. You're always supposed
Okay.
to say your age.
When you turn
Regardless,
50,
it does
I
not
don't
matter.
know what happened when I turned 50, but that's another show. But when I turned 50, like everything in my life got better in terms of my awareness and everything. So I applaud her for learning that early. But probably later on in my 40s when I finally just said, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. I am Hispanic. I am mixed. I am this, versus trying to compartmentalize the differences. Life just became better for me because, I'm Zena Contreras.
Hey.
Eso mero. Eso mero. Bueno y derecho.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Maria?
For me, I've always been very in tune with my because we first generation, so we pretty much come really deep rooted from going to Mexico, going to to our parents' heritage places that they were born and raised, and just enjoying the tortillas a mano and the menudo buen hecho and all that. So for me in junior high and high school, I was always all about Latino pride, Mexican pride. I used to tell people I was from Mexico. Wow. And it's so funny. I used to always tell people I was from Mexico. That's how bad I wanted to be from my country. I not saying that being born in the United States is not the business, but I was just really proud. And when I went to high school, I enlisted myself into the Mecha, Mexicanos Estudiantiles Chicanos de Aztlán, and I became the president in 10th grade.
Hey.
And I was, my mom would bring the enchiladas. We'd be on the, senior lawn selling them, and I was always very in tune where I'm from and helping our people. And so for me, like, straight up Latina.
Straight up.
She over here. Hey. That's hilarious. I guess for me, I wasn't as aware of it growing up. I think because my siblings are the ones that raised me, not really my parents. I mean, they were there, but they were busy growing. But honestly, it's when I share my dad's story. It also was when I went to college and I took Latino classes, and I became more aware of my culture. But when I tell people my story, they're like, wait, your dad's an immigrant and he did what? So sharing that, and then just having sisters like mine. I have 3 amazing sisters in my life that just make me think that everybody has amazing sisters like this. And we fight. Well, don't tell me where it's like not peaceful and all the time. We fight. But at the same time, it's all love. At the end of the day, we love each other and we support each other. So to me, like understanding that I'm thinking everybody has this and then realizing that they don't, that just gives me pride. The 5th child of 8 kids. And anytime I share my dad's story, our story, I just get a lot of pride from it, from being that. And then just going to events that are like about celebrating your culture, celebrating being a woman, all of that. And that's definitely what I want to represent here, on my show and the good news. So that's pretty much where he gets it from. So yay. And our last question of the night is for this segment is, what do you want to pass down to your children about your heritage? So I know that Maria and Myra both have biracial kids, mixed kids, and Zena, you have you're mixed as well as you have mixed kids, I'm assuming. Yeah. What do you guys want to pass down to your children from your heritage, from both of yours as Zena, but specifically for Maria and Myra from your heritage?
I think before we answer that, I want to ask Zena, because you grew up half is it your mom or your dad or which side?
So my father is Mexican. My mother is half black, and her mother is French Creole.
Okay. So you didn't grow up learning Spanish, right? You were you didn't get exposed to your Mexican culture as much.
No,
you
I did. I grew up in East LA. I grew up on Eagle Street. So, but my grandparents wanted us to speak English. So they really wanted. My father was trying to pass or whatever, and so they sent us to Caucasian schools. We went to Catholic schools, but out of the community, and so I didn't have a lot of that. My father was an only child. My grandfather didn't associate, so I didn't have the heritage. I didn't see all of that. I didn't.
The reason,
which is sad.
Yeah, and the reason why I ask is because I try to expose my kids to as much as I can, and I feel like they equally have. On their dad's side, they're always with they go to family reunions or with their grandparents, with their grandma. They only have grandmas. Both of their grandfathers passed away, but they spend a lot of time with their grandmas. Like we had Grandparents' Day a couple weeks ago at my daughter's school, and both her grandma, so you have her Mexican grandma and her black grandma come, and it just, I feel like I want to keep them exposed to both cultures and do my part. That's why I feel like I need to educate myself a lot more so that I can leave more behind with them, because they're they love their grandmas, and each one of them gives them something different. But I feel like I need to, especially because I was only raised with my mom, and we were such a tight, close family. It was literally just my mom and my 3 sisters, well, 2 sisters, and I have more siblings, but it was literally just my mom and 3 of us. We didn't really go to too many family events. A lot of our family was in either different states or different cities, and my mom never drove anywhere to take us anywhere. So I think we're kind of starting here. So I kind of have to lay that foundation and start it from here. So I want to just learn as much as I can. So when you brought up food, I know how to cook. I don't cook as much because I'm always so busy.
Same. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but I want to learn the traditional stuff, and I try to get my mom to come over as much as I can so that I can pass that stuff down.
So my sister, sorry to cut you off, but my sister Sandra, she has from all of us is the best cook and knows more recipes. Yep. I just told her, Sandra, if for Christmas or my birthday, I want you to write down all your recipes in a book and give it to me as a gift. And I told her that, and I think that would be a great thing to have for your family. Any family is write the recipes. So even if your mom can't come over, at least tell her to write them down, even if it's through text or email or anything, and then you write it down and you guys create a book, and it can be something that you created now for your kids to pass down. Because I feel the same way, because my grandma, who passed away last year, rest her soul, she used to make handmade tortillas, flour tortillas, and I wish that we would have asked her to make more of them. But I remember that she made that, and that would have been our connection. But now I want to create that with them. So the cooking, you want to pass down more recipes and food from your culture. That's a good one. I like that. What about you, Zena?
So with the Creole and black culture, I've got that cooking down pat, totally. And I have grandchildren, so I have 3 grandchildren, and my 2 granddaughters, we teach them the Creole side. We've gone to the festivals and stuff like that. My daughter-in-law is Mexican, so she can cook from the Mexican side, and she's very entrenched in that. For me, I wish, like you said, the recipes, I wish I would have learned those recipes from my grandmother for the Mexican food. I mean, I can make chilaquiles and a couple things, But I mean, really, really, my grandmother used to make the homemade tortillas, and she used to cook these beans in this clay pot. It was the best pinto beans that I've ever had in my entire life. I don't care where I've gone. She used very little of anything and just made a meal with these beans and the flour tortillas. So I wish that I would have, learned more of the cooking and learned why we had that. So on the Creole side, I mean, we make a certain food for Easter, and we make a certain food for Christmas, and we make a certain food. I wish I would have learned that and not have been so Americanized, so that I could pass that down.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. What about you, Maria?
So for me, I feel like grandparents and great-grandparents leave a huge footprint in all of our lives, kids and, my kids, which are their great-grandkids and grandkids. But for me, it's recipes of food. So like Jackie said, our grandmother on my mom's side used to always come over. And every time she came over, it never failed with the homemade tortillas. You know, she'd make up some beans and some cheese. And then with my dad's mom, she just had that finger of just putting the kick into the food. So family recipes are for sure. For me, traditions of what we're used to doing.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, all you vegans out there, don't judge us, but we used to kill a pig during Christmas time. And for me, those are my traditions and what I remember. And as a family, yes, slaughtering a hog, Lord Jesus, forgive us, but opening it up and, you know, just as a family celebrating and then waking up the next day and family still coming over to hang out the next day. So for sure, family traditions. And even if it doesn't mean killing a hog, just creating new ones, you know, amongst ourselves. Also childhood stories. I think the most craziest ones for me are my mom's dad, who I take care of. He has the best childhood stories. Like he ran with Pancho Villa and had to flee and change their last name and move country. So
I just found out that my mom's last name is not really our last name.
Yeah.
I just recently found this out during my grandma's funeral.
Yeah.
That's not our last name. What do you mean that's not our last name? Yeah. We had to change our last name because they were looking for us.
So
Paniagua is our last name.
So just through, you know, like for
don't
me,
be telling your name. Somebody's gonna come find you guys.
Girl, it's too late for that. Just conversation with, you know, with your elders and just getting in their brain and just.
All our parents have some sort of like crazy stickers. Yeah, I mean, my dad, if he hadn't left the life, he probably would have been part of the cartel or running the car out there with like. I'm telling you, like.
At some way, we're all connected to that.
Everybody's connected to. So, but the stories, it's because I used to love when my dad used to tell me stories about my grandfather when he worked in the fields and he had all these different things. So and so one time me and my sisters got all together and started telling stories. And now my son sometimes is like, Mom, can you tell us some more of those stories that you guys used to tell?
And my girls love it.
Yeah,
so all of those things is what they will take on to their kids, and then their kids will remember to, and just, you know, keeping the whole family last name, the family, you know, all the history alive and the foods and the traditions. That's what I want. That's what I want to give to my kids so they can continue it.
Yeah.
On both sides, you know, their dad's side and my side, because I do it all both ways. Baptism, you know, through church, through the life events, everything. So that's what I want to give.
That's good. I like those.
Yeah,
Great answers. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment of the night, or topic of the night, which is growing up mixed. So I definitely, when I knew that Zena had confirmed for tonight, I wanted to have this as a topic because Maria and Maya both are raising mixed children, and there's a lot of people out there right now that are raising mixed children. So you, at the age of 50, you're mixed. You were raised mixed. You know, I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit because, you know, a lot of people don't hear about that. They just know from the parents' perspective, but what about the child's perspective, you know? So how do you identify the most, like when people ask you?
So now I mark other.
You do?
I mark other because it's just not fair. So I want to go back because I think that you guys are raising your children in an amazing time. So when I was growing up, you had to be black or you had to be white or you had to be Mexican. Right. And so you couldn't be any other. And so through the Emancipation Proclamation, you know, my mother was like, you have 1% black, so you're black. Mm-hmm. So I was growing up like shaped like Kim Kardashian now with the big booty and the long hair. And I was saying I was black. And black girls were like, bitch, you ain't black.
Right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
You know, I mean,
that's your story.
That's you know, I mean, in the 7th grade, 9 black girls came to beat me up because I used to play basketball. I used to play basketball really well. I was playing basketball with the guys on Saturday morning. They became like my brothers, right? And so these girls were like, you're not playing basketball with my men. Literally 9 high school girls came to beat me up. And I thank God my mom came home from lunch that day because I could be dead.
Wow.
I could be dead right now. So it was very difficult being black and brown. It was very difficult during the time that I was growing in. Now it's okay to be mixed. It's okay to, you know, have your flavor and be this person and be unique as God created us to be. And it's not blasphemy. I'm sorry if I said a bad word. It's
okay.
But, you know, it was very difficult for me. And so I had to pick a side. because black men would be like my play brothers. They were cool with me. I didn't know they had agendas, right? I didn't know that. But the black girls never wanted to be my friends. And then the Mexicans growing up in La Puente and West Covina, literally at the time that I was growing up in La Puente, there's a street called Francisquito, and if you were black, you could not go on this side. If you were Mexican, you could not go on this side. And black and brown always like fought each other. Like you couldn't walk down the street. Yeah. So I applaud you guys because it shaped who I am in terms of me now. The Creoles have this saying, "A pasa blanc," meaning you're passing for white. Like I had to pass for something because I just couldn't take what my mom was telling me, you know, being black. It didn't feel right with who that was because I didn't look that way. And then the Hispanic side didn't accept me. And unfortunately, I grew up in an era where my grandparents were racial. So they were Mexican and they were very racial. Once they found out my mother was black, it was like, snip, snip, got to get a divorce. That's got to be over with. We're not having no negritas come up in here. And it even went to the extent that, like, when I first had my first son, his father is black, I didn't know if my grandparents were going to accept me. But thank God they turned that around when they saw this child, you know, because it was the first, not Hispanic, but it was the first grandchild male in a Hispanic family, and you know how precious that is.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Okay, yeah. So he was like the chosen one, and it broke down the barriers. But I didn't have my first son until I was 21, so I had to deal with this all that time. I think that it's a lot easier to have your identity and be very proud of your heritage. What I will tell you with raising mixed children is let them know. Don't let them. If they want to self-identify with one, that's just who they're more comfortable with. If they want to self-identify with the other, if they have a diversity of friends, more power to them. But don't make them choose because of the kinkiness of their hair. I have a granddaughter, and Zoe has the most beautiful curly kinky hair. But, you know, and she's brown like I am. And then I have another one who's like straight hair and like pale, you know, and it's like, just let them self-identify, because if you let them identify with human beings, then that's who they are. But it's important that you instill where they came from. Yeah. It's important that they know that. Like I took my boys to Louisiana, to the slavery plantations to see where they came from, because my great-grandmother was a slave. She was a house nigger. She was white, but she was a house nigger. Yeah. You know, because of the black, you know. Yeah.
She was just like.
Yeah. So, and when we moved to Arizona and they had cotton fields, I had my boys go out in there and pick cotton. And I was like, you were only 3 generations away from that, homie. Don't ever forget that. Right. Like, don't ever forget where you came from. I don't care if you're walking around saying your last name is Contreras and you want to date Mexican girls. You are 3 generations away. Yeah. So let's be real with that. And so I was very, very much wanted to instill and give them a reality check, because both my children went to, you know, very good schools. They had their own brand new cars at 16. I didn't want them to fall into influenza where they thought, this is who I am. I'm American. And this is, you know, no. Let's go back. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's look to where you came from. Really,
you have to get them back in tune.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's different when you have boys. Because I'm Mexican, I'm not black, but I grew up in a community where predominantly it was black. I had women that I called aunties that were black. Like, that was my family, because we grew up that way. And like I said, my mom never took us to our, you know, a lot of our family events and things. So we kind of grew up in a culture around black, in the community around black culture. And that's what we embraced. And they embraced my mom. And you know, it was like a Mexican black culture, just everything all combined. But you know, my son is mixed, and he goes to, you know, a good school in an area where there's a diverse, you know, there's a lot of diversity. There's Latinos, whites, Asians, Indians, a lot of people. And I'm like, don't forget that you're black regardless, and you need to understand that you know, people still view you that way. Yeah. You know, even though everyone has gotten to a point where you know, they're more accepting and all these other things.
It's harder for the boys.
But it's a little bit more difficult for the boys, you know, and so he just kind of needs to always stay in tune with who you are. You know, you don't have to make everything about race, but you need to always know that you're still black to everybody else.
Because that's the thing about if you have biracial children and if they're boys, the world is only going to see them as a black man. I don't care what their color is. I don't care. And the other thing about blacks is we know when you got black in you. I mean, we can like see, even though you're like, have got those light eyes, and we're like, I know what you are, right? So, but it's hard for the boys, and I would just say go to the history with the boys, show them the history. You can let them be who they're going to self-identify, but the world is only going to see them. My youngest son, when we were in Arizona and they were doing the Arpaio sweeps, it was like he was like 9, and I got him an Arizona ID because I wanted him to have something to be able to identify himself if he got pulled over at McDonald's or he was with a friend at the movies or whatever. And it's unfortunate because it leaves a mark on who they are when the world only sees them as one way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but at the same time, are you also reminding them to their Latino side?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I know that you said that you don't speak Spanish, but like, how would you encourage that for your sons?
Well, I mean, we resonate with the Contreras side really, really well. My older son and my younger son, we resonate with that side. We like we always cook different foods. I mean, I always try to incorporate some of the foods that I had during certain times. My daughter-in-law is Hispanic, and so we're very close with her family. I balance that out, but the other side is I didn't want them to think that because their mom had a certain level of success or spoke a certain way or didn't speak Spanish, that they didn't come from that. Right. It was important for me to let them know where they came from. Like if I could take them to Mexico, where my grandfather had a ranch, I would take them, but I don't know where it exists anymore. Yeah. But my younger son did go with my grandfather. My older son did go see the ranch. And so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, I know you guys were saying you were reminding them that they're black, but I think at the end of the day, they're always going to be reminded that they're black because of the way society treats them, the way that they're looked at, the way that everything. So it's just by their appearance. They're never going to forget that they're not half black.
It's not a reminder. No. It's just to know that the world will self-identify them. It's not a reminder. I want them to know who they are, but the world will self-identify them. The world. I remember going to a place in Palmdale to go get my older son's haircut, and he has kinky hair, and this lady's like, I don't cut hair like that. And I was like, I don't understand this. That was foreign to me. So it's I don't want them to think one or the other. I teach them both, but I let them know that from awareness, the world is always going to see them that way.
Well, I think that they are. I mean, I'm sure like my nieces, like they're mixed, but they know that they're black. If anything, they know they're black first. Yeah, because of the way they look, the way that they are, the way everything.
But it's funny that you say that because my daughter experienced the same thing. For her quinceañera, I took her to African-American spot, and the lady, the night before she got her hair pressed and pin curled, and then the next day she wasn't going to be there, so she asked another lady who was one of her friends in the shop to just go on ahead and do an updo. And she tried, but it wasn't like what, the Latino would do for a quinceañera, like a real updo, right? So she was like, her hair can't hold a curl. She was blaming everything on my daughter's hair. Now, my daughter's hair is coarse. It's not straight. It's not it's like that coarse, mixed curly hair pattern. So when I almost left there crying because I got into it with her, but I didn't show her. I was more angry at her than anything because I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't hold a curl? Like, do you know what you're doing? So we got into it. I left there. So I was going to my hair appointment at my salon where I've gone for many years, and it's a Latino salon. And so they saw how angry I was, and they saw my daughter's hair. So they were like, what's wrong with your daughter's hair? And so then I started explaining to them what had happened to me. And they ended up doing a beautiful updo. They teased her hair, and then they put it in a little half ponytail. They gave her a hump. They curled the rest of her hair. Her hair held a damn curl. Oh, wow. And I wanted to, if I had enough time, I would have took her back to that salon and showed her off to that lady and been like, you just don't know what the hell you're doing. While you sitting here telling me that my daughter's hair can't hold a damn curl. Yeah. So, yeah, I experienced the same thing. But, yeah.
The other way around.
Yeah.
Because we were running a little bit on time, we're going to jump into the next topic. And it's pretty much, this one is from a question from one of our listeners. And here's the question. It says, I have been thinking about asking for a raise at work, but I don't know how to do it. I have a review coming up. Do you think it would be unprofessional to do it then? Please help a girl out. Thank you. Love your show. So what advice, Zena, would you give to our listener who is wanting to ask for a raise at work? And as we know, there's facts that women make less than men, women of color make less than white women, and then there's also another thing, like, why do women lowball themselves when it comes to being paid their worth? So with that kind of being in your mind, what advice would you give to our listener?
So first, for your listener, I would say do an inventory. Look at what you've done and what you've accomplished within that company. Know what tasks, what projects, where your involvement has been, even if it was having involvement with the executives, because that's a high level. That's something that not everyone's going to have experience with, talking to executives. So if you can say that I was the liaison between this executive and this executive, that is an accomplishment, because not everyone is going to be able to touch that level of personnel within an organization. So if she's going to a review, I would say definitely have some statistics down. Like, know that, yeah, I participated in this collaboration, or I was helping with this acquisition, or I was the coordinator on this project, or yes, we won that award, or we won this, and I was part of that team. Like, have that detail of information so that when you go in there and you go into the review, you can start to talk about that as they start to talk about what they see as part of your performance. You can say, oh, that's great. Don't want to argue in a performance review.
Right.
You want to accept the information, and you want to say, oh, by the way, I have some other information that you may not be aware of that I contributed with, and so forth. So definitely you can ask for it at the time of performance review. But I would say you're a little bit behind the gate there. And here's what I will say. 40% of the people leave their employers because they won't ask for a pay raise. 40%, because we're scared. We don't know. So let me just give you a couple of tips right now. So here's what I want you to do. As soon as you get a job, I want you to keep a notebook by your desk or your phone or whatever, and write down everything that you're involved in. Because when you do your resume, you forget that you helped on that project, or you were part of that community involvement, or you work with that leader. And maybe a leader dropping someone's name, like, Susan whatever, who's gone on to another organization, people are like, oh, you work with her? Right. That's some big stuff right there. So have that stuff. Always be documenting projects that you're involved in. Even if it's a project where you were copying the paper, you have to understand you're privileged to be able to do that, because that's confidential information. Take that stuff into consideration as part of your wardrobe. So when I tell people about looking for a job, I talk about a wardrobe because it's easier to put it in that way. Think about you're adding to your wardrobe. Now you've got some Jimmy Choos in there. Now you've got some Gucci in there, because if you just think about it from a job perspective, maybe it's not relatable. And so when you want to ask for a review, is you want to ask for a raise, you want to ask for that before your review. And here's why. Because that money is already allocated. So when you're asking for money at review time, that money has already been allocated. That percentage is already been allocated. So here's what they're going to tell you. Well, you might have to wait till mid-review or mid-next year. I'll take that into consideration next year. So if you know your review is coming in February, October, start asking for that, because they're in budget meetings, they're in financial budget meetings, and they're figuring out their budget. Or start asking for that in the summer. Or if you just finished a big project, even though review is not till February, and we just finished this project in July, ask for it in July. Plant the seed in someone's mind, so that when that person, your boss, goes to human resources and they're sitting down, they're saying, you know what, everybody in my department's getting 3%, but Jackie kicked ass. Yeah. I need to give Jackie 5%. Well, where are you going to get 5% from? Well, I'm going to take it from this person. Or I'm going to take a little bit from here. But because you ask, and like my mom said, a closed mouth never gets fed. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you finished a big project, or when the company has made like an acquisition, or they've made a sale or they've done something, when you know the company, not you, when you know the company is doing good, that's when you go in and ask, because at review time, you're too late.
It's too late.
You're too late because that money is already allocated.
Okay.
You're not going to get anything till next year.
So you recommend contacting them through email and hey, can we set up a meeting? No.
I would walk in, and I would walk in very humbly and very casually. And so let's say you're my boss. And
yes.
I'd say, hey, Jackie, gosh, I'm just so excited about Good News celebrating their 2-year anniversary. I've been here for a year. Can I talk to you about some of the things that I've done? Sure. Let's go to lunch, right? Mm-hmm. Don't do that stuff on email.
Okay.
Don't do that on email. Make it personal. You want to leave an impression. You want to get that person thinking about, you know what, Jackie did help. She built this studio. She helped with that studio. She put those tables together. You know what? You want them start to thinking about what it is in your contribution.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Maria, Myra, do you guys have any questions for Zena on that? Because she gives them, I'm telling you, if you guys have never heard her show, you guys got to tune into her every Wednesday morning. I believe it's at 9:30, right?
9 o'clock.
9 a.m. every Wednesday, and she gives amazing advice for work, for interviews, for just anything like that. Yeah. That's why when I had this question come up, I was like, Zena's the perfect person for this.
That's a really good question, because I went through something like that a couple years ago, where my job went through a transition kind of, and the people who were in role didn't get a chance to reapply for the position that they were transitioning us into. They just transitioned us into it, which is, I'm thankful because I still have a job. But they gave us a raise, and that was it. We didn't get the opportunity to, say we don't want this position, take a severance or anything. And it wasn't review time or anything like that. So I ended up having to fight for more money because it's not illegal to talk about your pay. So I'm in the beginning when I first started doing what I do, I was probably one of like a handful of women in my company that does what I do nationwide. So I already knew I was probably shorthanded and maybe getting underpaid. So I started talking to all the guys about how much they were getting paid. And on paper, we went from hourly to salary. So on paper, a $5 raise looks good. But when you're going from hourly to and getting full overtime to salary to not getting any of that, it makes no sense. I'm like, I'm not going to make much more money this year, than I did. So I had to fight for more money. And like you said, it was already allocated. It's already all in the books. They already have a whole plan for you. So you can't ask for it during review time. Right. I had to go to my boss. My boss had to go to his boss. And I was really nervous to ask for it. I felt like, dang, I knew I deserved it, but I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get it, so I shouldn't ask for it. But I did. And it turned out well, because then now I figure, after I started talking to everybody else, I'm like, shit, I get paid more.
But that's what I'm saying.
All these guys.
Myra, you've been there for so many years, and why did you have that doubt that you wouldn't get it?
I don't know. It was just, I felt
because
like,
many women feel like that.
Yeah, it was just, I just felt like, I knew I had to do it because I deserved more money.
Sure.
And, but I'm like, well, they're not going to think I'm worth it or whatever. But sure enough, and then they gave me more than what I asked for. So I'm like, damn, I kind of lowballed it. I should have just went higher. So they, and it worked out. The only thing is that now when we do our reviews are already set yearly. And then when you're hourly, you do semi-annual reviews too, or quarterly reviews. So you don't get a raise until your annual review. And by then they already have the score. They already have your appraisal. They already have everything, and they pay you.
And you know
whatever.
why they do that? You know why it's already allocated? Because guess what? Your boss has to receive a bonus some sort of way.
It's all in the budget.
Come on now.
It's all in the budget, girl.
Come on.
It is.
So if I give all my people 3%, guess what I get? I get a 17% bonus.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's what they try to get you to, like, oh, you get these incentives, you get this, you're going to bonus here. I'm like, no. I'm not going to live my life relying on your bonuses. I need to know how much I'm going to be getting paid.
Jackie, two things that she said was really important that I think we can talk about at another time, but I want your listeners to understand. There is a huge transition from being hourly to an exempt. That's salaried. Mm-hmm. And you have to be prepared mentally to whether or not you want to take that. Most people will see that as a cut because, yes, if you're making overtime, and here's the thing, if you're making overtime, go back and look at all the overtime you made last year. If you made $17,000 overtime and they're only offering you $5,000 to go exempt and you know you're going to be working more than 40 hours, you better negotiate that a little bit better.
Right.
Yep.
You really better. So, but let me just tell you, you better have the right mindset to go from an hourly employee to a salaried employee.
Agree.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that mindset, you are going to fail. And because they're going to be more stringent on you as being a salaried employed. So, and the other thing that you said is, yes, there isn't any policy about talking about compensation, but it's heavily frowned upon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's we're buddies and we're like, well, good news pays you this and good news pays you that. That's heavily. Once their supervisors get aware of that, you're kind of blackballed. So you are in a very good situation where they valued. So understand this should help you with your like. So if I were your coach, I would be like, look, girl, this is where you need to understand and see your own value because the company saw this value in you because you could have been terminated. They could have, we're at will employment.
Yeah.
They could have terminated you, but because you didn't know your worth, you didn't know what to ask for.
Yeah.
And so now you know your worth, right? Because if you don't know your worth, the company knows your worth. So just hang that on the mirror like look, this is who I am, right?
Yeah. So I was really happy with it, and it was my boss was the one that it's kind of one of those things where you don't trust him so much, but he's cool. His boss is the one that I spoke with after. Like he's like, look, I can only say so much, but if you want to call him, call him. Yeah. And he listened to me, and he's the one who made the decision, and he came to me personally and was like, look, this is what we're going to give you.
Right.
Awesome.
And I was like, okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Zena, for that. I appreciate it. We do have somebody in the chat box by Cindy C. She says, know the pay range and where you stand. Keep it simple. So that was her advice for the question that we had today.
I would say that's different. So, I'm over at Spectrum, and we do have pay ranges, but everything is based upon the budget, what's in the budget.
Yeah.
So you can go to Glassdoor. You can go to Glassdoor and see, like, graphics designer, what they pay in LA, and you can see a range, but you have to understand that's coming from a whole bunch of different companies with a lot of different industries. So it's you will never, not unless you're in human resources, will know the pay range, right, of that particular position. Or if you're with a government agencies will publicize the pay range. They'll give that to you, and then they'll tell you what they're going to pay you. So I would just, can I just share this one thing?
Sure.
This is what I want to say. Nothing is ever written in stone. I had a friend, an elderly guy, who danced, and he did New Orleans dancing, and he was already retired from the VA hospital, and he danced with Aaron Neville's on Soul Train Awards one time, and Disney saw him. True story. Disney contacted him through all these ways, and they're like, we want you to come dance at New Orleans Square. And Stanley was like, y'all not messing with my Social Security. You want me, you're going to have to pay me cash. And Stanley he knows exactly what he's worth. Yeah. And he was like, now this was about 14 years ago. He was like, I want $700 a week. And Disney paid him $700 a week.
In cash?
That is so fucking
I'm not finished.
Dope.
In cash.
Oh, shut up.
Didn't F up his Social Security. He danced there for about 7 years.
Wow.
When you know your worth.
Did he get it
that's the point. That's the point that I'm talking about.
Worth.
And 14 years ago, that's a good amount of money just
that's
to go
a good
dance.
amount of money.
Just to go dance.
To go dance and just to... So when I'm saying
20,
the other thing is like, know your worth, but the other thing is companies have a way to be able to make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They
That's all I'm going to say.
do, yeah.
So as women, we got to unite, come together, stand your ground, know your worth. Don't be scared. Speak up.
Yeah.
You have to understand,
You got to be working for a job that knows your worth and appreciates you.
And if it's not sitting well with you and something in you is telling you, this isn't it, you need to speak up about it, because that's what was going on with me.
And I think like Zena said, do your homework before you go sit in that chair and meet with them, you can feel confident on what you're saying. Know what jobs you're doing, what's under your belt. So when they try to sit here and give you those numbers, you go on ahead and lay it out on the table.
I'm just gonna say, bitch better have my money.
Hey, go Riri. Chris found your lap.
All right, well, y'all, that wraps up tonight's show today. We like to go around the room really quick and just kind of give a little debrief of what happened and shout them out. And where can they follow you, Maria?
Hey, so you guys know it. You guys can follow me at Crazy Maria with the double A and an underscore at the bottom. All one fucking word. And yes, I am on one today. Zena has like really put
inspired,
some juice.
right?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
telling y'all, if you guys don't listen to her now every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. here on The Good News. She gives you so many gems, so much information. I wish we could talk about this more. We'll probably have to have her come back because there's so much great information that she has working in HR, working in the positions that she has for so many years that she wants to share it with all of us, with all of you.
And when you have somebody like this that's willing to give this information, you better absorb. You better be that sponge and take it in, because I know that after this show, you best believe a girl finna sit next to Miss Zena. Slide my little resume over and see what it looked like.
She actually helped me with my resume. So I'm telling you, you guys got to tune in her every Wednesday. It's called Ask Zena, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. here on the Good News Network. Myra, do you have any words for our listeners?
Just thank you for listening, everybody. And you can always catch me on Instagram, Meera8, MEERAH, the number 8.
Hey, and Zena, where can they find you if they want more information?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram under Ask Zena. But here's a treat for all of your listeners. Go to YouTube, search this video. It's Get Seen, Get Interviewed, and Get Hired. It's a full hour of all of my tips on how to find a job.
I love it. Oh, my God. So you guys definitely have to catch her every Wednesday here on The Good News, like I said. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited. Thank you, Zena, for being here with us on Ladies Night. I know we've been talking about this for a while, but everything happens at its right moment. And when this topic came up, I was like, we gotta get Zena on here. She got to talk to my listeners. But once again, I'm your host. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us. I'm your host, Mysterious Jax. This is Ladies Night Radio Show. And just remember one thing, ladies.
You are enough. We love you.
Get your money, ladies. Get your money.
Hey.
Like blah, blah, blah. Pay me what you want me. Don't act like you forgot. Bitch better have my money. Bitch better have my money.